Hi guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to another video. Now, this is going to be my first update on the Porsche Group build, which is being hosted by the guys over at the Scale Model Car podcast. That being Matt from the Lucas C channel, Brian from BG's Model Workshop, Chuck from Chuck's Hobby Spot, and Jason over at the Blue Ox Model Shop. Now, as you'll see in the thumbnail, we're going to be trying to recreate the Cannonball run Porsche 935. It was a car which was sort of right at the beginning of the movie. Had about 10 seconds screen time, so it wasn't probably one of the most remembered cars from that movie, but it's always made the 935 my favourite Porsche ever since then. I think Cannonball Run was one of the earliest sort of car movies we were allowed to watch because it is relatively tame compared to other car movies, so to speak. I probably watched that movie from the age of 3, 4, something like that, to be quite fair, and always remembered that car since. So yeah, I mean, looking at what's on the market, the closest body style I could get to the car in the movie was this version of the Porsche, the Tamiya 935. There are other 935s out there. I think Tamiya does another one, but it has a different rear end, more of a boxed rear end, which would probably be closer to the actual movie car, but because we're building it without the fenders and what have you, there was certain things on this one which really did lend itself to the build, to be quite honest with you. Just things like this extended piece, this for the dovetail. It still retained the stock rear lights, which I needed because we're going to have to cut down here to take all the fenders off, and we have started this kit already, so it's going to be an update of where we are actually to date. But yeah, I bought a couple of these things at the time. Bought another builder, somebody started this one and did a decent job of painting it, but I'm planning on doing a couple of Porsches. Whether I get them both done this year, I don't know, but that's going to be one which we're going to be potentially doing a lot of body work on, making more of a street car out of, to be quite fair. But yes, this is just basically a motorised kit. I did buy a couple of these as well. This came with a damaged body, so I thought this would be a good parts kit if I wanted to use chassis as a donor. And I also bought a minting box, well, a brand new one, so to speak, but pretty much going off building this one, so I think we're going to steer away from building one of these, to be quite honest, this year at least anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, I started this project Tuesday of this week, since we got everything else cleared out, and we are going to be building like I said, the fenderless one. So there's quite a lot of work to get all this cut off and what have you, but this is where we've got to today. Like I say, it's taken quite a bit of work to even get it to this stage. It just, from the offset, probably looks like I've just cut the fenders off. But yeah, it's taken a great deal of work, great deal of scratch building to get to this, and we'll go into what we've done with it like in this video. But I think I'm not far off paint with it now. But we've got a big bunch of parts here. Like the first thing we had to do was scribe the front fenders off. Did all that in one piece, like, and just cut it down the hood. Like, this is all, I just used a scriber for all of this. I wanted some nice clean cuts on it. Bit difficult to get into these bits, but you know, a bit of time and patience. You know, we've got a nice clean removal there. And what I plan to do with this, once it's all finished, we are going to be doing a kind of display for it as well. I'm going to do some I want to do some wall art with this thing. I've got a nice idea. I was thinking of a diorama because it really needed to be on the road, like in the thumbnail, to be quite honest. But I thought just doing a bit of a diorama with a road and a bit of grass would just be a bit boring. So we're gonna, at the end of this, once we've all finished up, like I say, we'll be doing a separate video on another kind of a diorama thing, but we're going to make it into something we can, which is going to be more sort of arty, if you know what I mean. But we'll get into that once we're further on in the build, like. But so yeah, I mean, we cut the front end off, cut the fenders off as well. You know, that just to get the basis of what I was doing. And to be honest, at that point, that was the first thing I did, and I didn't know whether to use the chassis out of that monogram kit. But once I cut all the fenders off, and you know, it was so weak around here, around the back end and around the windscreen, that the first thing I decided to do was glue the original kit interior sides along with the dashboard, just to give it a bit of strength, hold it together while we start building something else. So we just separated. I mean, they were both builded, these ones, so disassembled that, and we'll see more of that later. But once I'd done that with because the interior panels were sticking out the front of the door, and I knew I'd have to build some kind of firewall. I thought, you know, just that would give me a good starting point for the building a firewall, to be quite honest with you. And then we ended up just using the kit chassis, to be fair, and because I didn't want to waste, you know, just use the body and waste everything else, to be quite fair. Yeah, it's a motorised chassis, but for what we need, we're not going to see the underneath of it pretty much at any point whatsoever. So, but you'll see more of it as we take it apart. But yeah, we just done a lot of scratch building, really. I think I had to decide when I was building it which parts are going to be best to stick to the body and which are best to stick to the chassis pan, to make it all work, because there's a lot of this which, you know, we've had to build up around the chassis. Or I was thinking, do I build it all to the body and just have a chassis pan sitting up under it, so to speak. But yeah, we filled all these in. It's just, once I cut the fenders out, we kind of stretched, you know, sanded the bodywork away to the point where I was happy with it. I think the problem with this kit is that flared rear arch goes right into the rear bumper and quite a ways into the rear bumper area. So I kind of cut it short, and just so I had some material to sand flat, because yeah, he's really rounded in here, and I needed as much length as possible. So yeah, with a lot of this stuff, we've you know, we've sanded all that flat from a sort of a curve, so to speak. And you know, I got the rear wings glued on. We've got to fabricate our own wing, the wing which comes in this, the aerofoil. It should be 2-piece aerofoil on this, whereas on this kit it's a single piece, so we'll have to do that. But yeah, we're just adding details in. Nothing's accurate at all, to be quite fair. It's just something which will pass, you know, once it's all in primer and what have you. So we're just trying to represent some door hinges on there and what have you. But you know, the wheels, I didn't have any wheels for it, to be quite honest with you. The ones in Tamiya kit, couldn't use them rear arches, the rear wheels at all. They were just too big. We've ended up using the front wheels to some extent, but you know, we've had to scratch build a lot of this stuff, to be quite fair with you. But just having it apart, as well, having these fenders off, you know, because we are going to be doing a bit of custom work to this. Never liked the rear arches on this thing. Always thought they looked like massive trailer arches. Didn't like the shape of them. So when I do build that as a custom, I've been chopping up the parts kit, the monogram parts kit, which came with a crushed body, you know, and just so it's been sort of setting me up for the next build as well, like, because I think them arches will look sort of much better on this car, to be quite fair, around similar size wheels and what have you. So just been playing around with little bits and pieces like that in the meantime for the next project, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, like I say, it's the wheels were a bit of a nightmare, to be quite honest with you. Because looking at the real car, they're quite deep dish on the rear. Had kind of a deep dish on the front, but not so much, like. But again, I just didn't have any wheels to use. What I ended up doing was using the monogram wheels, but these were the rims were, the offset wasn't deep enough on any of them. In fact, they're just the same offset on these ones. We've ended up cutting out the sensors and creating our own. And because I've kept the original Tamiya steering on this thing, you know, I really wanted to use the wheels because the wheels are screwed in, and that's really what gives it the strength to move this sort of steering rack on here, because it's quite a stiff steering rack, and I thought if I just glued them on, I've had some problems, like. So, but yeah, the rear tyres which I ended up going with were actually old airy tyres, you know, the ones which we all love. I had a set of these are the fronts, which are smaller, and then the rears, which obviously a lot bigger. Use similar wheels and tyres on the Starsky and Hutch build. But yeah, like I said, a full set of 4 of these in about, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago. They're just sitting on the side, and cat gold of one, and one at front ones has disappeared somewhere, never to be found again. So that set of 3's just been sat in the box for a long time, like. But move some of that junk out of the way. But yeah, so we've ended up pretty much, we're just going to start taking this thing apart now, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, but we've ended up pretty much scratch building these full rear tyres, rear wheels and tyres, so to speak, like. But you'll just have to forgive me while I'm struggling to pull that out of there. But yeah, so what we've done is we've cut out the centre of those monogram wheels, cut out the centre of the airy. I think Aoshima probably do similar wheels now, like, and we just sleeved them in the end, just so they fit into the back of the rim properly. We cut the backs of the airy wheels off, glued them to the back of there, and you know, they just slide into there quite nicely now, fit nice and snug, and give us a really nice Porsche wheel now, to be quite. I'm so happy with them, and it's given me the right look for this car as well, like. So, but on the fronts, you know, on the fronts we've done pretty much the same, but instead we just set them over the wheels. These are the original Tamiya wheels. Like I say, I wanted to keep that screw in place, so we've hollowed out the backs as well. Just got the rotary tool in there, and so they'll just sit nice and flush over that centre hub. And it just gives us, with these being separate, like, you know, I can go in and paint these separately, keep the nice chrome rims on them, and go from there really. But yeah, I mean, so I was really pleased with them wheels, to be quite fair, and it's a shame them rear wheels are too big for this. The original rear wheels are too big, because that also makes a really nice custom wheel, does that, to be quite honest with you. And I'm thinking, when I do this one, we're gonna probably use them, do the same kind of thing, but use them on this wheel. I've already sort of set up the chassis to accommodate these being tucked in. But yeah, they make a really nice wheel, does that. So yeah, I think them two together would look pretty good, like. So that's just food for thought for the other projects we're going to be doing, like, you know, like say, whether it's going to be this year or next year, then I think only time will tell, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, getting more into the chassis now. You know, even though we decided to use the motorised chassis, we've had to do so much work to get this to work with the rest of it. And like I say, it's kind of, we had to decide what we were going to build to the body and what we were going to build to the chassis, just so it can all be disassembled for paint and what have you. You know, so we can slide the interior in and out of this now for paint, and then assemble it all quite easily. But yeah, I mean, I ended up cutting the inner rear fenders, inner rear wheel arches off the stock chassis, off the motorised chassis, sticking them inside the body. You know, and that just gave me the base to do all this work around here. And like I say, it did take quite some time to get it all in there, but the only problem with this motorised chassis is one wheel arch is much bigger, because that's to accommodate the gear for the motorised work, so to speak. And so luckily I had another builder chassis, so we basically cut two of the narrower arches off two of the chassis, so we've got them nice and symmetrical inside there. So one's not massive compared to the other one. I mean, I could have cut one in half, but in all fairness, like I said, when I'm setting myself up for that other kit, I ended up gluing the other larger wheel arch inside to this body. So once you take that gear out, it's going to let them big rear tyres sit nice and tucked in underneath there. I mean, you can see how much movement we got on this one, like. So, you know, once we tuck them fenders in on the second build, then, you know, we're gonna have quite a nice look to that one. But yeah, I mean, we separated them, glued all them. I'm trying to keep this in a nutshell as possible, but, you know, got all the interior panels glued to this. We've just created a simple firewall. It doesn't need to be anything too exotic, because we're not going to see any of it. Been test fitting the windscreen throughout. The windscreen slides in there without any issues, like. So, and then yeah, we got the front wheels and what have you. Obviously I'll take them off for when we're building. Like, I mean, they should just unscrew, to be quite honest with you, quite simply, so we can have a look a bit more of that work behind it. But I'll only take one off just to save you waiting around for ages for me to do that. Like, but yeah, they just simply unscrew. Use the original kit chassis wheel arches for this one. You know, both sides, and just sort of modified them, took quite a lot out, and then the rest was really just scratch built. I had to do a contour against use the bonnet as a template for the contour for the inner fenders, and then just built something like around it, so to speak. And you know, it's good enough. Like, for me, I think once it's all painted, we'll do a bit of weathering in there. Just try to disguise the fact we're just retaining the motorised or the original kit steering. But I really did want steering on this thing for what I'm going to do with it. So yeah, just try to put a bit of detail in there, just so when it's all painted, then you know it's gonna look half decent anyway. But yeah, I mean, everything pretty much goes back together quite easily, so to speak. And you know, if we can just get that wheel, and we'll just quickly pop it all back together, like. But yeah, I mean, it's taken quite a lot of work, to be honest. I thought this was going to be a pretty easy build, but I shouldn't have really said that when I did that video to say that I'm in on the group build, so to speak. You know, it's you know, famous last words and all that kind of carry on. But you know, I can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel and what have you. We'll just try and get this last blooming screw in. Shouldn't have even attempted this on screen, to be quite honest with you. But we'll get it something like, we'll pop the wheel in there so we get a rough look on it. That screw needs to be a bit further in, like. But you know, I think we're pretty much getting the look of it now. Everything comes together and disassembles quite easily, so you know, when we are actually doing the paint work, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Like I say, for this, you know, we can, bit of an odd way of doing it, but it was the best way I could sort of find, to be quite honest, or best way I could really sort of figure out how to disassemble this kit as we're building it, so to speak. And you know, yeah, I'm not even going to try and fit that interior tub in at a minute, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty much there, ready to go, really. So the only other thing I did with it was, original kit only had one tailpipe, or it's like a twin tailpipe coming out of one exit part in the panel. So we just filled that in, and I think the original, the movie car, had twin exhausts, and we're just going to use these boot lace ferrules. I think I've shown these before, but they make like great injector stacks and what have you. You know, you can use them. This set come in all different sizes and what have you. So, like I say, great for injector stacks. This whole box of ferrules cost, I don't know, I can't remember. It was £3 or £4, to be quite honest with you. But like I say, they come in loads of different sizes, so you can use them for velocity stacks, injector stacks, or just exhaust tips, like. So we're going to have 4 of them sticking out the back. I think against the red primer, they'll look pretty decent, like. So I think if you want to search them, I'm pretty sure, I think it's spelled FERRULES, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think like I say, we'll get this. I think the next time you see this, to be quite honest with you, is going to be pre-assembly, I would have thought. I'm very close to getting this into paint now. But I'm really happy with that, to be quite fair. I mean, like I say, it's taken a lot of work to get it to this point. The wheels took probably 3 or 4 hours alone to cut apart them monogram wheels and create them. But I think even if these wheels weren't on this car and I wasn't trying to sort of replicate the look of the wheels on the car, I think they would look really good on any Porsche, to be quite honest with you. And like I say, these airy wheel and tyre sets are, you know, they just look great on anything. So it's a good basis to cut that centre out and create my own from there, to be quite fair. And yeah, really happy with that, to be quite honest with you. So like I say, I think the next update on this thing will probably be pre-assembly. It'll probably be a final video, to be quite honest with you, and because I really want to get on to the other thing we're going to be doing with this one as soon as possible, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, really happy with that, and you know, I'm hoping you like the build so far, so to speak. You know, not too sure if we'll get onto this one this year or not. I'll have to see how it goes. I think I'll probably play around with cutting the fenders off, because before I even consider chopping the roof on a Porsche, knowing how flimsy this body is, I don't want to get all that fender work done first and then play around with that one from there. But you know, whether we get that one done this year, really don't know. I'll see how I'm Porsched up by the time I'm finished with this build, whether I want to build another one, or you know, I'll just leave it as a nice setup for next year, so to speak, because I've got quite a nice plan with that second build. So yeah, there's going to be loads of pictures at the end. Should have said that right at the beginning before I lost everybody's interest. But you know, there'll probably be 10 minutes of videos at the end where we've just been building this thing, really, and bit of progress pictures, yeah, just to show you how we've got to where we got to. Like, so yeah, I think I'm just going to call it a day for that. You know, I'll say, you know, hopefully you've had a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks to all the subscribers to the channel. Really hope you stick around and yeah, just to see how this project comes on, and what we do with it after we've finished and what have you. So yeah, whatever you're doing for the rest of the weekend, have a great time, and we will see you in the next video. Okay, see you, bye.